Alpha Labs takes so long to give me my blood results, huh?
Oh?
I literally got 10 emails from today alone.
Why there's only 3 of us? There's only 3 of us. Where'd everyone go? Cut it. Cut this.
Bro, she has a thing for every time someone comes in.
I think that's new.
No, that's always been there. I've heard it from the day one. Why did you push it over?
You didn't? What are you sending me?
Wait, seriously?
Like pictures of people?
Yoja?
Who's this fat person? Oh my god, this is Azula?
Oh.
That's Azula?
She got bigger.
She got even more fat.
I mean, shit, she was probably sitting at home.
Azula, my community for title of Dragon Warrior.
So rude.
Yeah, I always said that. Oh my
Hello,
god.
hello, welcome. 3:31, so let's wait one more minute to allow people to join, yeah? And then we'll get started.
I kind of feel bad for her, though.
I
Don't you
mean,
feel bad?
no. I'm fat phobic.
I feel bad because she's still a youth, bro.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she is. Ain't she like...
She's like 22.
Is she?
Yeah.
What's her name? Elizabeth Yu?
I don't know.
I think it was Elizabeth Yu. 21. Oh, she's 1 year younger than me. I don't know, bro. Still. Because people were giving her shit for her acting. And now people are giving her shit for her weight. That's kind of crazy. Which I was a jibba.
Well, why did she gain weight?
I don't know, genetics maybe? Who knows?
I'm doing mini life
Hello,
on this week.
welcome.
Basic
Come on
principles
in.
of physical fitness.
Okay, I think we'll get started, shall we? So welcome everyone to Gen Ed 140 Healthy Lifestyle Management Week 9. And this is exciting because this week's learning kicks off our final module, if you want to call it. The final 4 weeks of learning are all based on physical activity, fitness, cardio, muscular strength and endurance, flexibility. And we start this week with a general introduction to the basic principles of physical fitness. Come in. Come on. Sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down. Sit down. Late students. Hey, sit down. It's okay to be late for class, but you can't disrupt me. All right. So if you just joined us, doing a mini lecture on what you're learning this week online, which is the basic principles of physical fitness, but also a friendly reminder that test 2 opens tomorrow morning. Last week, we played the practice test, right? That was fun. So it reminded you of what you need to think about for test 2. And just remember that you need to put aside some time, about an hour and a half, to write test 2 sometime this week between tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday at midnight. Between there, you need to choose about 90 minutes to sit down and write test number 2. If you weren't able to make it to Zoom last week, then you can go online to the course info folder and watch the Zoom recording so you can at least see the practice test that we played together. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? I will share my screen again, Microsoft PowerPoint. So here we are in week 9. Like I said, the principles of fitness is what we're learning. And then the final 3 weeks will be specific looks at different types of health components of fitness. So cardiorespiratory endurance, then muscular strength and endurance, and finally flexibility and lower back health. So we are in the home stretch, people, just 4 more weeks of content left. Okay, so this week you are going to identify components of physical fitness, explain the principles of physical training, and we'll also outline the benefits of why we should even care about this, you know, especially if you watching right now are not someone who's ever really exercised, you don't care about it, you don't really want to do it, it doesn't interest you. At least getting a chance to theoretically understand, why should I care? What are the benefits? What's in it for me? So one of the first things you'll look at is the statistic in Canada that only 2 in 10 adults and 4 in 10 children are actually meeting the minimum physical activity guidelines. So in our country, most people aren't in shape and they're not getting nearly enough movement and exercise in their day. But we should start by defining some terms so we understand. There's physical activity. That's really basic movement that's carried out by our skeletal muscular system. So if you got up out of bed today, walked to the bathroom, brushed your teeth, went to the kitchen, had a glass of water, and then you walked back and turned on your computer, that was physical activity. It was very light physical activity, but it was still activity. Sedentariness is when we sit or lie down. Anything else typically involves some kind of physical activity. It's just a matter of how vigorous or intense it is. So that's one definition. Now, exercise is different than physical activity. Exercise is planned, repetitive, structured movement that we do to improve our physical fitness. So physical activity is great for our overall health. Exercise specifically improves our fitness. And why? Why do we want to do these things? Well, there are a whole bunch of benefits that we gain when we have physical activity in our life, and definitely when we have exercise. So the first column are the benefits that you gain from basic physical activity, right? Light movement that you do. And that's things like better blood cholesterol levels, better body fat, right? Better body composition. So more fat-free mass in your body than fat mass. Improved blood pressure, good metabolism, improved quality of life, and it helps to improve anxiety, depression, dementia, and your cognition, right? Your brain function, which as students, you definitely care about. So you get all of those benefits just from being physically active. But if you do that and you decide to exercise, you get all the benefits of basic physical activity, plus you get improved physical fitness. So you get improved cardio, endurance, improved muscular strength and endurance, better flexibility, greater improvements to your overall health and your life, and you can reduce your risk of chronic illnesses. And finally, if you were really inspired and you wanted to not only do physical activity and exercise, but you wanted to create a vigorous fitness program, like maybe you wanted to try out for the soccer varsity team with Centennial, or you wanted to get a personal trainer, you know, if you really wanted to step things up, then you would get all the benefits of basic physical activity, all the benefits of exercise, but you would also get greater increases in fitness and greater reduction of your chronic risk of chronic diseases. And I would add from what the textbook says that you also, when you commit to a training program or a fitness program, it also helps you with your mental strength as well. You make a commitment and you show up even when it's hard, right? You show up to early morning practices or games. You push yourself even when, you're not scoring goals. You're not really great yet. And that life skill, the mental strength that you build, can be used in other areas of your life as well. So if you remember the last classes we had before Engagement Week were on nutrition, and we looked specifically at the Canada Food Guide, right? And the Canada Food Guide was designed by scientists and government. And they got together and figured out what are basic guidelines to help people eat healthy. Well, we have a similar guideline for physical activity. So we have the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology, those researchers, trainers, scientists. And then we have the Public Health Agency of Canada, and our government got together and came up with basic guidelines to help us understand movement and what do we need to do in order to be like baseline healthy. And they came up with something called the Canadian 24-Hour Movement Guidelines. So you're going to learn this week about those guidelines. You're going to learn that there's 3 main guidelines. The first is move your body more. So try to have about 150 minutes of aerobic activity in a week. Aerobic activity are things like biking, jogging, swimming, skipping, dancing, Zumba, playing different sports, anything that gets your heart rate up and it builds your lung capacity and your heart health. So 150 minutes a week. And what is that divided by 7? You could do like about 20 minutes a day, or you could do 45 minutes 3 times a week, something like that. As well, try to do some kind of muscle strengthening twice a week for the major muscle groups. So a bit of upper body, a bit of lower body twice a week. And it could look like going to the gym and lifting weights. It might look like just getting down on the ground when you first wake up in the morning and doing some push-ups, some sit-ups, like basic body weight calisthenics, do some plank, something like that. Maybe go to a Pilates class. And finally, the third is to try and get several hours of light physical activity every day. And it's a great idea to use this all throughout the day to break up the amount of time that you sit down and you're very still, which we call being sedentary, which leads to the next guideline, which is to reduce the amount of time that we are sedentary. So sitting or lying down would be sedentary. So it's important that we try to break up the day with movement, that we not stare at screens for a long time. Yes, I realize the irony of telling you that as we are on an online class right now. But really trying to break up the amount of time you spend sitting, staring at a screen. And, there's some things you can try to do differently. Like, let me show you. I stopped sharing my screen and let me take you to our course for a moment. So let's say, you're studying an online course right now, you are, and it automatically requires you to be in front of a computer a lot. But in the course, you can go to some content, right? We're in week 9, Principles of Fitness, and you can see there's some videos to watch. And then there's some text as well that I've offered you to read as supplementary reading. Well, you could push this button called Listen.
Principles of Fitness highlights from the text. Physical training. Why do we train?
So it is possible for you to listen to a text instead of reading. So you could get up and walk around the room. You could even just standing instead of sitting would add a little more physical activity to your day, right? You could rent some audio books and learn that way instead of always needing yourself to be in front of a screen. All right. The other thing when it comes to reducing your sedentary time is to reduce the amount of recreational screen time. So meaning the screen time that's not mandatory, right? So maybe it means you actually pick up the phone and call your friend and talk to them instead of texting with them, which is a very different relationship anyway. It's not that immediate energetic exchange. Or yeah, you go for a walk or you read a book before you get ready for bed instead of, I know, easier said than done, but so important for our health. And the third tenet of these 24-hour movement guidelines is to get good sleep. So remember week 3, 4, we talked about sleep. All the nutrition in the world, all of the exercise workouts in the world are not, they just, they can't compare to the foundation of a good night's sleep. And so as an adult, between 18 and 65, the sweet spot is between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. Different for everyone, sure, but this is the general guideline. And really try and make an effort that most of the time you go to bed at around the same time and you wake up at around the same time. And that will help you to be consistent and really get that good quality sleep. Okay, so next we can move on to what are called the health-related components of physical fitness. So we have skill-related components and health-related components. These are things that we gain when we do fitness. So the skill-related ones are things like speed. We get faster, we get more powerful, we become more agile, we have better balance, we have good coordination and good reaction time, right? And movement time. Those are all skill-related components of physical fitness. So we need these things and we build these things when we do fitness. Then we also have health-related components, and these are cardiorespiratory endurance. So we have this ability to do prolonged, large muscle movements like dancing, swimming, aerobics, cycling, these dynamic exercises that help with our heart's capacity to pump blood. As well, we build our muscular strength. So the force our muscle can produce, whether we do a bicep curl or plank or hang or lift up our niece or our child, right? We also build our muscular endurance. So how many bicep curls can I do? How long can I hold the plank for? How long can I hang? How long can I hold my toddler on my arm before it's too much? We build up our flexibility. So the ability for our joints to move through their full range of motion. It helps to reduce tension, when we're sitting at our computers all day or we're staring at our phones. If we can roll down, stretch, and get the muscles lengthening more. And that also helps our joint health. And finally, through fitness, we improve our body composition. And we're always striving for a ratio of more fat-free mass than fat mass relative to our body. Of course, factoring in our genetics and our age, our gender, all those things that are outside of our control. So those are the 5 health-related components of fitness. Next, you're going to learn about principles of training. So if you do train, or if you decide you'd like to start training in some physical fitness, maybe you're inspired by this course, then there's some laws or truths that exist when it comes to training. And those are specificity, progressive overload, reversibility, and individual differences. So I'll walk you through those. The first one, specificity. This means to develop a certain fitness component you need to do exercises that are designed for that component. So, for example, I just talked to you about, oops, where are you? Yeah, about the health related components of fitness, right? So let's say Julie says, oh, miss, I really want to build up my cardiorespiratory endurance because today earlier I was running to catch the bus and I almost collapsed. I had no, lung capacity or heart, my, my endurance, my stamina. So based on the principle of specificity, Julie will want to do some sort of exercise that helps build her cardiorespiratory endurance. So I would recommend something like going for walks 3 times a week, right? Or maybe a light jog, maybe skipping, maybe some swimming if Julie loves to swim, or cycling. What I probably wouldn't do is recommend that Julie take a really light, gentle yoga class, because even though that's wonderful and really good for their health, it's not necessarily going to show much improvement to cardiorespiratory endurance. However, if Julie said, I also really want to improve my flexibility, then I would say, definitely take the yoga class. So the idea here is you train the way you want your body to improve. Right? If someone wants to build up their muscle, they're going to focus more on strength training exercises. And here's a picture of my son doing just that. So he's working with our trainer, doing some presses and some crunches as well to help build muscle. So that's principle of training number 1. The next one you're going to learn about is called progressive overload. Now, the body is this amazing thing. We are so incredible because no sooner do we start exercising that our body is like, yep, I got this. What's next? Meaning if I tell Julie to walk briskly 3 times a week, then after a couple of weeks, that's going to be fairly easy for Julie. So if she wants to continue to build up her cardiorespiratory endurance, I might say, okay, now it's time to start jogging. So moving that intensity from walking to a light jog. Or I might say, okay, now it's time to start walking for twice as long, right? You were walking for 10 minutes 3 times a week. Now you should walk for 20 minutes 3 times a week. So you've got to gradually build up your load. Same thing with strength training. Well, if you do bicep curls, you curl 20 pounds, 6 reps, 3 sets. After a couple of weeks, that'll be pretty easy. So then it's time to start curling 30 pounds or 35 pounds or curling more repetitions, right? Now you need to do 8 reps, 10 reps, 12 reps. You need to keep increasing the load in order to see benefits. Otherwise, it's not a bad thing if you stay in the same place. It just means that you will even out, right? You won't continue to build the fitness benefits. It'll still be activity that's good for you. And how we can ensure that you progressively load is through creating a program that factors in frequency, intensity, time, what type of activity, how much, the volume, and that progression piece. So that's also something I think I have a video that you see this week in the in the folder, in this week's folder as well. I talk about the FIT principle. And recently they've added V and P to it, volume and progression. But this is what, if you have a personal trainer, they're going to work this out for you. Or if you have a coach, they're thinking about this. Or you can do this yourself, right? You can decide, okay, I really have a goal that by the end of this semester, going into summer, I want to participate in a marathon. And in order to qualify for that marathon, I have to be able to run 5 kilometers. And so you're going to start a training program for yourself that gradually builds up your stamina until you can handle 5 kilometers of running. But you wouldn't start out at 5 kilometers. Most of us are at a level where we're just starting out. And so you never want to start at your end goal.
Yeah.
That's too intense, and so it's dangerous. It can cause you to have an injury or burnout. So you want to slowly build your way up.
Day one, but you never jogged before.
Okay, the third principle of training you're going to look at is oh, what? Sorry.
Are retarded.
Stop. There. Reversibility. And that is the sad fact that as soon as we stop exercising, the benefits go away. So our body really likes consistency. And if you stop, you can only cruise for about a couple weeks if it's cardio, and maybe a month if it was strength training, before those benefits disappear. We do have muscle memory, so it's not gone forever, but it's certainly like your capacity, you'll have to build it back up again. And finally, we have to remember that we all have individual difference and therefore limitations. So I'm 5'3", I'm 45 years old, and I know that I won't be able to take up high jumping and jump 9 feet in the air over a pole, and I'm okay with that. Those are my limitations. Of course, training can push us in our limitations, but there will be some things that are just not within the scope of our ability. And that's okay. So, lastly, there are guidelines for training, things to help keep you safe and to help you thrive. And so at some point this week, when you do get a chance to go to our course and look at the learning, you'll see that in this same page, the Principles of Fitness highlights from the text, I have created a drag and drop activity. So you can decide, I've already started. Oh, that was with a different. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so you can drag and drop which one you think is correct into the correct guideline. And hint, they're all in your textbook if you wanted to take a look. So, for example, guideline 1, stress your body in a way that it adapts in the desired direction. I.e., you want more muscles, lift weights. You want more flexibility, do stretching. And that guideline is called Train the Way You Want Your Body. Train the way you want your body to change. That's it. Right. The next guideline is to train regularly, be consistent, to push yourself. Oh, no, that was not the right one. It's not push yourself. In the beginning, your body adjusts, then you progress, your fitness increases, maintenance. That was actually start slowly and build gradually. So you can have fun with that drag and drop activity and play around until you see the guidelines that exist for personal training, for training. And like I said, they're available in your textbook as well. So that's what you're going to be learning this week. And again, don't forget, you also have the test. So it's a bit of a busy week, but there's no assignments, so that's good. Does anyone need clarification, or are you curious about anything to do with this week's learning? Why don't you tell me in the chat, what's one thing you will do today to be active? Either exercise or physical activity. What's one thing you'll do today to be active? I just got back from a walk. Oh, you're going to go do groceries, Julie. Yeah, great. Do you walk to the grocery store? I know you'll walk when you're in the grocery store, but Alyssa, you're going to stretch. That's a great idea. I so need to do more stretching. I'm very bad, but it's so good for you. Switley, you're going to go walk your dogs for 20 minutes. Nice. Oh, 10-minute walk, Julie. Good for you. I knew. I had a feeling Julie was going to walk. Right. 10-minute walk to the grocery store is great. That's so great when you can live close enough to actually walk to things. Walk the dog. Excellent, Sangam. Yes, great. Yeah, well done. Okay, so I'm glad you're inspired. Try to get a little bit of movement today. Yeah, at least something to break up the studying and the work and the staring at screens, and then you will be winning. Okay, so good luck this week with the test. And if I don't see you again till next week, have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody. Take care.